Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset.
All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertsen. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Rhee, in the orange shirt all the way on the right. And in between us, we have our full-time coach here at Outlast Fitness, Mike DelaTorre. Personal relationship with him as a coach from CrossFit Hoboken back early days, 2011, 2012. A hire at CrossFit Bison in 2019 full-time. And him and I go way back. And today we're going to talk about something that really, I would say, technically starts next week, but we have a kind of like a practice week, a trial week coming up, which starts tomorrow, about 24 hours from right now, actually, 24 hours and 9 minutes to be exact. Who's counting? We are starting our new endeavor here at Bison Fitness called Outlast. And it is, I would say, it's a gym or it's a class or it's a program. You could put whatever terminology you want in it, but it's a huge step for us as a business, as a community. And we're going to dive into what we're actually trying to do with this, some of the basic elements to programming and coaching and format, all those logistical things, now that we have a really clear vision of what we're going to try to do at this place. But we are going to go into some deeper conversation about it from a macro perspective of like fears and anxieties, but also what we're excited about and why we're doing this. Because I think we have to keep asking ourselves, why are we doing this? I had someone ask me this week, literally, why are we doing this? And I have a very clear answer, but I think I want to practice like communicating that to others, to myself, to you guys. And I want you guys to also express what you're excited about, what you're nervous about. So Sam, I want to start off with you because this is, since you've become an owner at Bison, this is the biggest project we've taken on together. And I would even venture to say in our 11 years of Bison Fitness, this is the biggest project we've ever taken on. And I don't want to put risk in that terminology, but this went from concept to reality. We met in a plane over the summer to really say, hey, what are we going to do with this space that we're now getting with this new lease in this building? And we had a lot of different ideas. We put a lot of ideas on the wall, and this is really what we spit out. Can you believe it now? Like, I mean, you can see it now. You said you had a hard time visualizing what we're going to do back here, but now you could see it. What has changed your thoughts in that regard?
Yeah. When we first started talking about it, it was about how can we serve more people? Like, CrossFit isn't for everybody. And we know that. And we've done CrossFit forever. This might represent some of the most years of experience of CrossFit in the gym or in the area in Jersey, possibly.
Good point.
And so for us to have sat here and said, okay, maybe CrossFit is great. I love CrossFit, but how can we serve more people than just people who love CrossFit? And that's where the idea of Outlast Fitness came from.
That's a great way of putting it. Sam's so good at putting words into short-term terminology. You know, it would have taken me 7 more minutes to explain what he just said. Mike, this is going to be, man, I would say if there's one person on our staff that I feel most confident from Bison being able to transition from CrossFit coaching to, what do you want to call this? Strength and conditioning, less intense. Don't call it CrossFit Light. You're going to piss me off if you do. But because you have a lot of experience, a lot of different gyms, and that's going to be something that we dive into more in the future with you. But this idea was brought to you after we really concluded, Sam, the owners, that we're going to go for it. And you were really a person that I felt like was the right fit to have. I think it's really important to have a full-time coach over here. That's really like, you know, the personality of the place. You get to know the relationships. I want to get into other reasons why I think we really wanted you over here. But and be honest, what is your initial thought of transitioning to similar but not exactly CrossFit with both training and coaching?
Well, first of all, thank you for considering me. I mean, I'm excited. I'm really excited because, Sam, like you're saying, like, I think we all love CrossFit, but CrossFit can work for everybody, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
That's a great way of putting it.
Right. So I think that the transition from CrossFit to here is great for me because I've done very similar forms of training in the past. Before CrossFit, I started as a track and field coach. And for my own lifting or fitness journey, I was a bodybuilder for many, many years before I transitioned into CrossFit. So for me, it's an opportunity to take what I've learned coaching track and field, my bodybuilding journey, when I coached sports performance at a prior place, and obviously coaching CrossFit, taking those experiences and bringing them over here and molding a new community.
So basically, Sam saying serve more people, Mike combining all these experiences. One of my personal goals for this place was knowing that was looking into the future of who we're currently working with, and also having the pulse of what's currently happening with our current membership and community, in that the vast majority want to stick with CrossFit. They like it. They've been doing it for a long time. They want to keep pushing. But I forecast, based on experience with what's been happening over the past 10 years, is that you get some people that either get burned out, they don't like it anymore, they don't feel safe doing it. Whether I agree with that or not is irrelevant. And I think that's one thing I've had to humble myself on over the years. I think that's one area where I've grown as a coach and owner, that you can't put your thoughts on someone else. You can project them and share them and try to talk to people, offer perspective, but you also need to take the perspective of them into you and know that, hey, I don't physically feel what they feel, whether it's pain. I don't emotionally feel, mentally feel what they feel. And the more conversations I've had, you can start picking up on trends. As people get older, it's just a law of average where they're like, hey, I don't think I can do this anymore, but I do know I need to lift. But I do need instruction. I do need class environment. I do need community. And I don't want to see them leave. And there is probably a perception by some that it's simply just a business move. Hey, we can't lose revenue. We need to find new ways to get revenue. I would swear on my life, I don't like people that swear on their family life, but as close as I can get to that, as saying like that, to me, has never been my motivation of Outlast. I honestly don't even think I'm personally going to make more money from this whole new endeavor. I really don't.
Well, we better make more money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, me personally, from like I'm not getting a raise from this. I'm not trying to look for more work. But we're spending more money, Sam, right?
Yeah, no, we definitely are spending.
So from that perspective, we need to make more money as a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, if your costs go up, your revenue needs to go up, or else bad things are going to happen. Right. So from that perspective, you have to make more money.
Right.
But this has never been an endeavor where it's like, hey, you try to suck as much money from people as possible.
No. That's not.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe it truly in the service industry of what CrossFit and the fitness industry should be. Like, you're there to serve. And there's people here in CrossFit that are just saying, hey, I don't think I could do this. I don't want to do this. I'm getting burned out. I need another option. And that to me was the main motivation between doing this versus making this a cold plunge versus sauna place, which is honestly, we strongly considered it.
Yeah, we did.
That was probably, would you think that was option number 2?
That was a possibility.
We didn't do this. You think that's what this would have been?
I don't think it would have been that successful on this.
I agree, but that was something we were like, hey, let's just get saunas and cold plunges.
Yes.
And I mean, Mike and I would have used it every day.
There are a lot of people listening that are like, why did you guys not do that?
Well, yeah, you want to know why? Would you want to go into a sauna after me? Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah. So that's kind of where this started, right? And that's why we are where we are. I want us individually to talk about what are the goals here. And Sam, I want to start off with you. I know you said you want to help more people, and that could be the answer for this as well. Do you have a specific goal that's not necessarily revenue based? How many members, all that stuff? What is the goal for you? Like, what do you hope Outlast turns into?
This is a different philosophy for fitness, which honestly, I didn't really quite understand until I just did one of these workouts this morning. And I now am starting to get a sense, like I knew theoretically what the philosophy of training in this type of environment that's different from CrossFit, but it is really to offer a different methodology. Like not maybe CrossFit adjacent, or I don't know what you want to call it, but this is a different fitness methodology.
It is.
And the workouts are very different on a lot of different levels. And and it's something that you can't really understand, I think, until you actually start doing these workouts. But it's really like, listen, CrossFit is one way of doing things. We need to offer different ways of becoming more fit, gaining more capacity, becoming healthier. And some of that is a focus on longevity.
Yes.
And I think the science and the evidence and the research has backed some of the principles that we are espousing in Outlast Fitness. And I think that I'm really excited to help more people move along in it. Now, listen, I am really a CrossFit person. After having done the workout, I'm like, I'm going to stick with CrossFit. But doing it, I also understand how I'm getting fitter by doing these workouts. And maybe I might have to incorporate a little bit of it. But it also confirmed for me how much I love CrossFit this week.
Mike, do you have a goal as a coach? And honestly, I've talked about this with you multiple times, of being here at the start. Like, I can't stress to you and the other coaches here how important it is to be some of the coaches at the start of this place. What is your goal as a coach and key part of this community in terms of growing Outlast and what we want it to be?
Number one is building a strong community. We are, as introverted as I am, even I need like human interaction. We need connection, right? So the community aspect is super key, because that's also how you get people to really stick with things, is building a strong community, a place that's supportive, a place where they feel comfortable, and they use that energy to work together. And in the case of Outlast, to get fitter and hopefully live long, productive lives, right? I'd like to see people do that, get stronger so their quality of life is high, and also work on, aerobic capacity, fitness, base fitness, whatever you want to call it, so they live a long life as well.
Right.
I think that because the methodology is a little bit different than what we do at CrossFit, I think for many people who have really busy lives, like, look, I'm a CrossFitter at heart, right? I've been doing this since October of 2008.
Wow.
That was my first CrossFit workout with Cindy. And I love it. I still love it. But now, fast forward, I'm 44. I've got 3 kids. I have a 2-year-old who is crazy, right? Like, Murphy is out of his mind. I love him. The general stress of life, right? And there are times where, look, I'm an experienced coach. I'm an experienced CrossFitter. So I know when I'm in there, when I'm at Bison, I know how to take things down a notch. And physically, I'm cool with it. Mentally, I'm cool with it, right? But I think for a lot of people, if you've been CrossFitting for a while, even if you've been CrossFitting for a while, it's hard to take that step back, right? Like, you feed off of the energy of the environment. If the workout is like super, super intense, whether you realize it or not, you're going to push, right? And for me, as I've gotten older and with all these other stressors, it's been a little bit harder to recover. It's been a little bit harder to kind of push from day to day.
Yep.
And I think with our methodology at Outlast, we're still going to do strength. We're still going to do conditioning. But I think that for a lot of people, they're going to find that it will blend better and fit better with their day-to-day life and recovery.
Yeah.
What are your goals?
Yeah. My goals of the place are simple, actually. I want people that are in CrossFit have another option for them if they need something to break from, whether it's movement patterns, intensity levels, CrossFit methodology, the scores, the RX, the pressure that they put on themselves to pursue scores and they're not recovering well, and it puts themselves into a mental tornado. I want that to feed into this. I want them to have a safety place like, hey, I do need to tone it down a notch. I need to slow it down. I need to focus in on my movement and my range of motion without an RX or a score that I need to put my name next to. But I also want Outlast to feed into Bison. Hey, I'm too afraid to go to CrossFit Bison. It's CrossFit. It's Bison. They're quarterfinals. They're so competitive. We get them in here and we start teaching them about strength and community and pushing your pace a little bit and slowing it down a little bit, focusing on quality before quantity, before intensity, right? I think that this is a great first step. I guarantee there are people that will never step foot in there.
in Bison.
into Bison from the public, from the outside, but they will come here. And then they might start to learn more about what we do. And like, you know what? I'm going to go try that out. And I would love, like in my utopia, it does exist. All right. In my utopia, there are people that will do both. They'll have a bias like, hey, 4 days a week here, 1 day a week there, or 4 days a week there, 1 day a week here, or 11 months of the year over there, 1 month here, you know, to build up a base, to build up some movement patterns and fix some issues without the pressure that CrossFitters naturally put on themselves. I want them to feed each other. That's one of my that's my biggest goal. Fears. I want to be real about this. I really I want us to be open about what are some of the fears, anxieties, and you know, you can go to business if you want. You can go to how much this stuff is costing us and the risk that we're taking as a business. You can go there if you want. But I'll start this one off, and then we'll go down. One of my biggest fears is that I need to be able to control my bias towards programming from CrossFit. Like, I am so confident in programming CrossFit. Like, give me any gym, any crowd, any piece of equipment. Give me a couple hours, and I'll have a month set up for you. And I'm very confident it'll be quality. Over here, it's different. I am confident in my ability, but I also need to prove it. It's one thing to have theories on paper, but to prove it. And every time I do a workout, Mike and I and Olivia, the group workout we just did, the entire time, every time we do a workout, I'm like, I don't know if this could work. This is too hard. Like what we did today, I came up with 3 holes in that workout within the first round. And I'm visualizing different kinds of people I'm visualizing my dad being in that class. He couldn't do that. Oh, we'll scale. I know, and we will. But how do I properly sell the scale? How do I properly train the coaches this is really their first time coaching people? And if you don't have experience coaching a 65-year-old, but you also have a 27-year-old in class that wants to get after a little bit and look great for the summer, you have to take the same workout and be able to engineer it and modify it at the snap of a finger. So one of my fears is, hey, just be here all the time, you know, and help some of these coaches out. But I think I really need to put more time, effort, and I programmed both gyms last week on the same day. Oh, my head was a mess. It was really messy. I told Ash, I was like, I need to program Outlast on a Wednesday and Bison on a Friday.
Because the mindset that you have.
It's just like there's some workouts. Like there's a workout for Outlast this week, and most of them are CrossFitters coming this week. But Friday, just look ahead. It's really hard, and I don't want that to be the feel here, especially for someone new coming in. So that's my biggest fear. Mike, what's your biggest fear of this things?
Just adjusting to a new environment, a smaller environment.
Yep.
You know, I've been coaching CrossFit for so long now. I've been at Bison now since the end of 2019. So it's different. You know, the energy in there it's a bigger space, right? The music is loud. Like everyone that knows me, I'm very punk rock for better or worse, right? Here, not that we're not going to have intensity here. There's going to be people. There's going to be people that are pushing here, but it's a smaller environment, right? It's a little bit different. For my personal anxieties, that's what I'm nervous about the most. Is that adjustment of big open space to smaller group, more intimate setting, and I'm going to have to just naturally talk to people a little bit more. But it's kind of cool because I'll get to maybe know people a little faster.
You're really good at that too. Like I think you're really good at taking someone you don't know and talking to them.
Thank you.
That's a skill. That's an important skill. Sam, what are some of your fears? After A, doing the workouts, B, we've been talking about this and playing it out for a long time. What are some things you're like, hey, we got to make sure we're on top of this?
Newbie friendly. I mean, I really want this to be entry level for a lot of people. And if we have a bunch of fire breathers, listen, working out next to Mike McKinney was intimidating to me today.
I get it.
And I've been working out with the guy for a while. And if someone who just comes off the street and is next to the guy, they're just gonna be like, what's going on here?
That's a good point.
So I just want to make sure that we don't, like you said, but a lot of it is the programming. It's how the coaches approach it. So there's going to be a lot in terms of that is very important.
We had someone look at the workouts next week that does not CrossFit, and he told one of our owners that you're like, I want to come try it out. Looking through the workouts, and the word AMRAP was in there. He goes, Dave, I'm not doing CrossFit.
I see that AMRAP. That's a CrossFit. You lied. You're tricking me.
I was going to tell Susan because I had a hard time figuring out how to get the workouts to show up in the app last week, the free trial memberships, and we figured it out after way too long. And I was like, yeah, Susan, I didn't want to tell anyone that the first workout on Monday is actually Karen. 150 walls or pound. Wait, what? But yeah, that's something. Instead of just writing AMRAP, like you write 1 minute machine at your intensity level, and then for the remainder of 3 minutes, do as many rounds as possible. Like actually write that out so that someone doesn't feel like it's like that. AMRAP has a tone to it.
Yes,
it just does.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly something we're gonna have to keep track of. I mean, let's talk about some of these coaching different. We just already touched on it, but I think the biggest programming difference that I want everyone to know, and I'll keep this short, okay, because I could talk too long about programming, is that there is no RX, there is no scaled, we're not writing scores on a whiteboard, and a lot of workouts are going to have a suggested rep range, meaning 8 to 12, 10 to 14, 16 to 20, 5 to 8. We're going to say, hey, 3 to 4 sets of work. Like you choose a lot of the stuff. Like if you are a fire breather, go for it. Take the high end and push the weight. If you're not a fire breather, take the low end and do one less set. No one's going to know. Not that should be, that's a whole other discussion of letting that determine what you do at the gym. But that's the biggest programming difference, is that there's no high-level gymnastics, there's no barbell, and there's no set RX scaled, and we have rep ranges, set ranges. Thoughts on that, Mike? Because we've done a few. We've done a lot of the workouts over the past month. And I want some of that feedback and some of what you always tell me after every single day, the day after especially.
So this is where the guidance of the coaches comes into play, because we'll be there to guide people through in terms of, I'm not sure how much weight I should use. I'm not sure how much volume I should be doing, how many sets I should do, right? The movements themselves, I tell Dave this literally after every workout, I don't feel beat up. Right. I feel great. I've gotten a great workout that day, right? Because, I've been able to just move well throughout, get the intensity that I need. But the day after that, I'm not exhausted. My joints don't hurt. And I feel that I can actually run around with Max, who's 6 years old and playing soccer, right? I can do that kind of activity, which is great, right? I think that's why we are all doing this, right? We're not necessarily doing it to train for something in general, like a bodybuilding show or like a specific competition. Like most people are doing this to live good, healthy lives. And that is one of the key things that I notice day in and day out.
Some of the fears that you might have, or some of the questions that need to be answered in terms of like, and with the programming, right? Like,
right.
Hey, here's an example, right? You just did a workout.
Yes.
And it was a little harder than we thought.
Yes.
But it's also, what was hard about it, it was just longer.
It was longer, and the intensity. So this is why the philosophy of CrossFit is something that appeals to me, but I also understand why there is a lot of validity to this type of programming. So with CrossFit, the very definition of constantly varied movements performed at a relatively high level of intensity means you need to push. You need adrenaline. There is, you're doing grace, 30 clean and jerks for time, or even Friday's workout, which Keith coached, which was the machine cal row, the dumbbell snatches, and the strict handstand push-ups.
Yep.
Like, they're very different movements. They require a moderate to high amount of skill for like that strict handstand. And you're performing at a very high level. Like, I'm pushing the dumbbell snatches, I'm pushing the strict handstand push-ups. And even beforehand, there's every CrossFit workout for me, there's a little bit of anxiety or anticipation or, like, how is this going to go?
Yeah.
And at some point you get addicted to it. Like, it's really hard for me to go into a workout where I'm not actually like fully, like, it makes me fully engaged.
Yep.
And like, at this point in my life in CrossFit, I'm like, all right, let me see how those stricts feel. Do I have to break them up? Can I do like 3, 4 at a row? Like, when am I going to burn out? Like, how does that dumbbell snatch feel? Like, how do I pace my road to make sure I can get to the next movement and not wait 30 seconds? So there's a lot of thinking I'm doing for every CrossFit workout, which really engages me. Like, I can't think about anything else. Now, this was a little different because it was a minute. You had every different movement, like it was row, it was run, it was dumbbell presses, bike, but it wasn't at a high level of intensity, and I wasn't particularly worried about, like, am I going to finish this in time, or do I have to get this number?
Right.
But that intensity kept growing,
Yeah.
and so that was a very different feel for the workout. I still felt really tired at the end. Like you said, my joint, because the movements weren't as intense. There wasn't any like really fast acceleration or anything that you have to do like with some of the CrossFit movements. Like when you're doing a dumbbell snatch, dude, you're not doing that slow. Like you have to get that hip extension, moving. And so those are the kind of things that were so different. But on the other hand, if I did CrossFit, I know when I do CrossFit 4 or 5 days a week, I'm really beat up. I felt like after this workout, I don't want to, but I could actually probably work out again if I had to. And so that is really a totally different bent or approach in terms of how fit can you get somebody.
I haven't had one person not say something like that since we've been doing some of these workouts. It's like, I feel good, I could do it again, or I feel good tomorrow. And, what you always, one of your quote on the CrossFit Bison website, everyone's got like famous quotes or stuff, and your quote was from Bob B.
Yeah.
And it says, the sign of a good workout is the one where you can come back tomorrow. That is what a good workout is.
Yeah.
And that resonates with me a little bit, and that's how I feel after these workouts. And the CrossFit truther will definitely come into that conversation and be like, well, then you're doing CrossFit wrong. And that could be the case. I think that we should all be thinking about that. Am I doing stuff too heavy? Am I doing stuff too fast? Am I not focusing on my quality of movement? Is the coaching not good? Is the program not good? Like, always think about those perspectives. But environment does breed some results to a point. And I believe that this kind of environment, to slow yourself down, but still work really hard and still have an intention behind it. Like, it's not blind working out. It's not just moving blood and just moving. Like, no, there's intention. There's intensity. There was struggle. We were all groaning at some point.
Oh, yes.
Like, it was hard. And that's a message I've been asked a lot from Bison members especially about programming. What are the workouts like? Do you lift? Like, Deb T is like, are you guys even lifting? And I looked at her, I was like, Deb, the lifting here in some cases will be harder than what we do over there.
I went to failure on the dumbbell presses today.
And the heavy goblet squats, the tempo. What I think the biggest difference will be is you can eat much more easy, and it's going to be much easier over here to really focus on the movement pattern and the consistency behind it with controlled tempo than it will be at a normal CrossFit setting where you're really tired, you're doing things for time, you're doing things because it's RX. Like, that's why you pick that weight. You're trying to push, to use that example of Friday's workout, Sam. In that environment, you have all these things to think about. Do I need to break these up? How does this feel? How's the dumbbell feel? But also, the person next to you got on the rower 8 seconds before.
Yes.
Can I get off the rower before that?
Yes.
Right.
And that is where you don't have that as much here.
Right.
Now, with that said, I recognized every time that Mike McKinney was done with his pressing before me today, but I got off the machines before him. But I wasn't racing. There was no racing so that I can start the next one, or because my score is going to be somewhere.
Right.
So there is going to be some awareness that you're either slower or faster, but I don't think it matters at all because there isn't a competitive environment here. And that, programming wise, I think will be one of the biggest differences here.
Yes.
So let's sort of wrap this up a little bit in that the message that I want to get to people, Mike, I want to start off with you on this because I feel like you're in this kind of direction yourself as an athlete, as a person that works out, how much you modify and how good you are at it, how cool you are with it. Just like, hey, I got to modify this. I got you're here to build, and you're a lot of your workout is health and longevity based and be strong. You want to be strong, right? Who can you talk to? If you have a group of CrossFitters in front of you that are kind of we feel that we're around them all the time. Why is this a good route for them to consider?
Outlast is a great place to come to take some pressure off of yourself. I think that's one of the biggest things, and we've hit upon it this whole episode, right? Like, as CrossFitters, we can put so much pressure on ourselves because of the environment that we're in. This is a great place to, without even thinking about it, just slow it down for yourself. Make sure that you're moving well. Make sure that you're almost getting, it's almost like it can act as a little bit of a reset for yourself as an athlete, so that when you want to get back to the intensity, if you want to get back to CrossFit, then your body is strong, it's stable, it's recovered, and it's good to go again. I think if I'm talking to a group of CrossFitters and they're considering, or they're questioning, oh man, like, why should I try Outlast? I think it's a great place to get yourself physically and also mentally reset, take some pressure off of yourself. And then when you're ready, you go back into that environment.
Get back to why you work out.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we lose track of that. Sam, let's not talk about the CrossFitter, because this is not for CrossFitters.
Right.
It's I know CrossFitters want to try it, and a lot of them might want to err towards that. But talk to the people that are not into the CrossFit. They do have a workout regimen, but they need accountability, or they're reading all this research out that is very available for men and women, that you have to lift weights as you get older. If you don't, you're screwed. You have to train in zone 2. You also have to train with varying intensity levels. That's something that people need to know as well. Your VO2 max and how tied that is to your longevity. What's the message to them as they start to consider something like this?
If you're somebody who just goes to the gym, gets onto the treadmill, does some bench press, does some weight work on your own, maybe you follow some kind of template programming that you found on YouTube or online, the intensity level that you have there is relatively low. And the discipline that is required for you to do that on a consistent basis is very high. Like, it's really hard. This type of workout is templated so it brings that intensity, but not in like a crazy bad way. Like, it's actually surprising how much intensity it gradually built up. I was really pissed that it was 7 sets, by the way, instead of 5. I thought it was 5, and then by the time we hit 5, I was like, he's like, no, there are 2 more, and I was like, no.
Not even 1 more, but 2 more.
2 more. I die. I was like dying. So I will say, like, but for the newbie who's coming in, like, listen, you can do 40 minutes or 40 seconds of run in a minute, like, at your intensity. You can do 8 or 12 dumbbell presses at your weight level that you want within a minute. You can do the bike for X number of meters, and you're pushing at your level. There's a coach there that is helping you calibrate your intensity level and your performance. And there's no way you're not going to get better with your capacity and your strength when you do that. And so when you have, like you said, it's very important to have the right amount, like the right programming in order to get that stimulus. But I don't think there would be any newbie that would walk in, do that workout we just did, and feel uncomfortable. Like, they could do it at their level, and it really doesn't matter that, you or Mike McKinney or anyone else is right next to them. Like, they will feel not scared, not intimidated. I didn't have to worry that I was using 35-pound dumbbells and you guys are breaking out the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like you guys are finishing faster. It was like we were all moving towards the next station at the right time, and our intensity, all of us felt it.
Yeah.
So we could have taken anybody off the street. They would have had that workout. They would have enjoyed it. It was great. And that's not the same for CrossFit. Like they would have hit time cap. And everyone else would have been done 10 minutes before, and they're struggling, and they are like, and it would be like a really difficult experience. Like, that would be a way more challenging experience for a newbie for a coach, and we've all been there where we've had like one new person and like 10 experienced people.
Yeah.
Like
Stuff. Yeah.
so this is such a great intro for someone who just has not a lot of experience with this type of workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll wrap it up with Mike talk to the CrossFitter, Sam talk to the person that does not do CrossFit, doesn't have any interest. I want to talk the common ground between the two of consideration to adjust your fitness goals as you get older. Inevitably, that's going to happen. And whether you work out by yourself, whether you do a boot camp, whether you're a CrossFitter, whether you kind of hop around and do all these different things, I'm a firm believer in routine, but I'm also a firm believer in making adjustments to your fitness goals as you get older and as things start to change. And you should always be able to adapt to something new. So if we have a squat focus here at Outlast for an entire month and you hate squatting, that's where you should be, because that's what I like about group fitness and having an outside program do something for you and plan your workouts for you, is that you don't fall victim to what so many people do for decades. They just do what they want to do over and over and over again. And you're missing out on so many variables to health and fitness that can literally make you live longer and outlast the aging process. And there's a lot of trust that someone needs to put into someone that programs and coaches. I get that. And we'll have to earn it, right? We could talk about, oh, we've been doing this for X amount of years. We will earn it and we'll prove it to you. And you don't have to trust us right now. And I respect that. But we will earn it. And the coaching will have a high standard. The programming will have a really high standard. But you have to have a high standard for yourself. You really do have to push boundaries a little bit. That does not mean work out as hard as you can. It means opening doors to things that you probably wouldn't do on your own. And that's where I think this mesh of CrossFit versus anti-CrossFit can all come together. Because I'll tell you what, the CrossFitter that comes in here, and we just saw it in the workout we did, and the person that comes from the outside into Outlast, they're the same when they come to this place.
Yep.
And there's that is a huge deal to me. It's not, oh, the CrossFitters are the fittest people here, they're going to take it easy and come in here. Newsflash, some of you guys will really struggle with a lot of what we do in here, and you have to be okay with that.
I can see a lot of people off of the street have a better base of this type of fitness
1,000%
than a lot of the CrossFitters we know.
Yeah. And recalibrating yourself is very difficult. That's one of the conversations we just had with the guys that just worked out before this, that the CrossFitter, you're going to have a hard time pacing and not pursuing scores and probably doing things that get you into trouble in the CrossFit programming and methodology in general. It's going to take a long time and humility, but it is possible to really recalibrate and get the most out of this program for you. All right. Thank you, guys. We're really excited here. We have a free trial week coming up, and then we're going all in starting about a week from now. And the closer we get, the more excited I get for it. And I'm hoping you guys give it a shot, give us a shot. We'll be here with you, and we're going to help you outlast this aging process. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.